haven't really seen that, and T1 looked like a well-oiled machine this early in the year. Kind of crazy.
It is absolutely nuts. Let's see what happens, though, as we dive into Champion Select. I do want to let everyone know HLE has side selection because they won the coin toss. That's how it works going into this one. And so they will be choosing blue side here for game number 1. Puts them on pretty good standing, I guess, but we just saw blue side lose a whole bunch of games yesterday. I don't think it's necessarily all that powerful if you play better League of Legends than your opposition, or if you just pick better champions than your opposition. Speaking of champions, we do have the Rumble, the Poppy, and the Galio all banned away here by Humble Life Esports. Understandable stuff. I think Keria's Poppy has been by far the best that we've seen in the LCK. Faker's Galio needs no introduction, and Doran's Rumble was kind of terrifying. Kingan's especially was terrifying yesterday. That double kill in the bottom lane haunts me and my KT fandom right now. But this is the pick I thought would never get through this entire series. And T1 have decided to get it out of the way early.
Yeah, we yesterday supposedly had a best of 5 in Fearless. It was a 3-0, so it wasn't really. I am hoping that the decisions that are made here actually will have the full effect as we get deeper into the series. It does require both teams to win games, so let's hope that that happens. But I'm with you. We see the Jace priority still being sky high, unsurprisingly, as the Vi gets picked up very early. Oner has been having an absolutely incredible LCK CUP thus far. Possibly the best. It's between him and Lucid right now for individual form, but I wouldn't be mad at anyone that takes Oner over Lucid. I also have some, you know,
I think Oner, he's been
some slight bias there on my end, and Oner has been incredible, which is crazy because domestically he definitely has had his up and downs. He's at periods where he hasn't really been able to perform, but it's the fact that both him and Keria right now are in good form that makes T1 feel very unfair. The Aurora is still a flex, could go anywhere, so we'll have to see where that actually ends up going.
Well, Xin and possibly a Mel. We saw Mel get banned throughout the entirety of the day yesterday, and she's ignored at this point in time. The Azir going to be locked in here for Humble Life Esports. Super standard as far as composition is concerned. This is something that we've seen T1 play actually a whole bunch of times, is the Jace Azir with a Xin Zhao to try and be a little bit bulky but still get some early damage done in those early skirmishes. See what Faker is going to lock away here as Smash's Kai'Sa is going to be the priority, and that is a lot of dive already set up here for T1.
Also frees up the need to ban on Ezreal. I think Ezreal, both incredibly strong right now, slots well into the, well, basically any composition, but particularly for Hanwha makes it quite easy to, you know, just leave him on his own, play towards that top side. Because my expectation is, particularly with this Chase, that's what they're going to do. One thing I do want to take a very early look at, and I want to check in throughout the day, for Humble Life, their drafts to me have been the least impressive out of any of our top 4 teams.
Agreed.
DK obviously is the front runner, but I think T1 has also had a lot of great angles, particularly when you take into account how the team function, what works for them. Gen G have been kind of all over the place, but Humble Life, this draft so far, I think when it comes to power picks, they generally have decent reads, but when it comes to actually cohesive team comps and executing them, I think they haven't really hit the mark just yet. This is a very versatile core that they have here, but we'll see how they end up rounding it out.
Imagine if we had Ambessa versus Jace top lane matchup, Zeus versus Doran in game number 1 of this best of 5. That would be a bit interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be wonderful, if not for lane swaps, which...
Yeah, I guess that doesn't really...
we'll see. Huh. Yeah, I didn't want, because I would love that if we actually get the 1v1.
I mean, in theory,
it does happen.
We could if somehow we have a lane swap avoided in some way or another. And I guess in the mid-game, we will have the matchup, but by then, there could be a whole skewing of issues here. As Ezreal and Alistar both going to be locked in, and that says there is going to be a lane swap, because that duo is not good, at least in the current iteration and in history's past. There was a time where Ezreal was way too broken, and so the duo worked just fine. But this does not spark too much early confidence in the laning phase.
Nautilus is one we often see paired with the Kai'Sa. Not going to get excited until something is locked in, but I have heard the rumblings of Sylas support. It's going to be Pyke instead.
Oh god, okay, Keria coming out with a bang to start this series off.
Yeah, this is Fearless, so you don't really need to open up with Sylas support. You can save that. You know.
I don't know whether you necessarily need to open up with Pyke support either.
No, you definitely don't, but
No.
that's what they did anyway. And this is what I was saying earlier. T1 have just very heavily, again, leaned into a skirmish. That's what this is. It's very dive heavy. There's a ton of backline threat. How it all gels together when you actually try to play up 5v5s because they're comp with great range, great poke, great engage. That's tough, but when you look at the individual matchups, I think T1 are going to be very happy, and particularly that Pyke is such a big reason of why T1 have been able to snowball so many early games. And in like early skirmishes, the Humble Life comp to me just isn't that impressive.
Oh, it basically does nothing. Yeah.
No, champions like Azir, Alistar in the early levels, right? I'm a bit worried. Zinzao alone, I think, is not going to be enough to keep this all together. And I think Humble Life need to very carefully navigate their way through a good early game to get to the point where this composition can definitely do some damage.
Yeah, someone's going to have to put out a whole bunch of fires. I don't know who it's going to be on this team, but right now I'm looking at that bottom lane, and I just don't think that they're going to be able to help very much in the early few levels where this team certainly should be able to get some things done. Kai'Sa, of course, not the most important, but that Pyke is what we're looking at. And if Keria is unlocked, this game could be over real quickly. Let's jump into the rift for game number 1. Whoa. Extraordinarily loud, and normally I get a little bit pranked because I'm on the wrong side of LOL Park, and so I'm like, wow, they're so loud. T1's on the other side, and I was almost deafened. So pretty impressive as far as fan representation is concerned. We need to remind everyone of the stakes, Chronicler, before you get into what you want to talk about, unless it's important. What are we doing?
I'm saying... I spoke too soon. I was hoping no lane swaps.
Oh.
The lane setups were good, and then the backs came in, and now it's cooked. So that's on me. Yeah, apologies. Continue.
We could just have upside down lanes, though, by the looks of things, because not a lot of defensive vision, and so it looks like the Alistar Ezreal are going to be sent towards the top side. So maybe we'll just have Australian lanes.
Yeah.
Which
okay,
is kind of all right.
Good. It's looking good.
No worries. All right.
So you were saying.
So what I was saying was, this is the playoffs. Often we have some double elimination in our playoffs, but not in round 1. And so the stakes of this are either our LCK champion of 2024 goes home, or our world champions go home. That's how this one goes. Whoever wins this best of 5 keeps themselves alive in the tournament alongside Nongshim, Gen.G, and D+.
Can't believe Nongshim is there.
I know, isn't it crazy?
So
it's
funny.
very weird.
Oh, amazing. I think Zeus, based on the bar, did get all the experience.
I think Zeus is also a pretty good Jace, if memory serves.
Yeah, he is the lightning guy, and that was between the cow and Jace's. Yeah.
Oh dear, the cow not quite figuring it out as Keria is also going low. Will Viper commit? That's the question. Is he actually going to die? Yes, he does. But now Viper might be able to clean this one up. Keria needs to get out of vision if he wants that grey health back, and he's not going to be able to do it. The Arcane Shift, Keria moves over, and it's a double kill for Viper.
That's the start we're looking for.
That's it. That's why we wanted that standard lanes, Chronicler.
Immediate 2v2 action in the top lane. And I understand why T1 wanted to go for them. Alistar level 1 is a cannon minion.
Yeah.
And you have Pyke. And you had a level advantage. I'm pretty sure that like throughout a large part of the Delight was also only level 1. The fact that Viper didn't even use his barrier or his flash.
No, they were too busy trying to collect the stake.
Well, they got the stake, but I think that was a bad deal, Atlas.
Yeah,
it wasn't served well either. You know, it was overcooked.
I would agree. Let's have a look at it from Viper's perspective. This guy pretty good at Ezreal. He was the reason why we laughed a little bit when Aiming was saying that he was the best Ezreal in the league, because this guy exists.
Yeah, that's the key thing here is the fact that
yeah, and Aiming's really good. Void's
both avoids the stun, but also that Keria actually was level 1 throughout a lot of that. So I guess the early experience, because Smash was the only one that was level 2 throughout most of that sequence. Plus the fact that Viper went for PTA. I think the early PTA damage, we saw this even more pronounced when it was the pre-nerf Ezreal, where he basically was just winning every single lane. But his early damage is actually crazy, and it's also important to note that we always talk about Kai'Sa being a big counter into the Ezreal. That really is more for what happens in the later stages of the game, where she is one of the few AD carries that can actually get on top. I think Kai'Sa is one of those champions that can have good isolated
It was the same reason that Vayne was like a counter to Ezreal, because you could run him down level 6.
Yeah.
It's not because at level 1 you're stronger.
Ezreal's just kind of crazy in that regard, and Viper being able to pick up an early double is going to be good. Now I do think T1 have the tools to actually lock him down, which is always going to be hard, but with the amount of backline dive that they have, they're not going to be feeling too bad. I also don't think that just only the 2v2 is enough. I still think Hanwha Life is going to have to be very careful, very deliberate with how they play out a lot of the skirmishes, because that's where I feel like T1's strengths have lied so far.
Yeah.
Is specifically rotations around the map, getting Pyke to where he needs to be. But it is a wonderful start, because if Hanwha Life can get through the early game unscathed, I love their team composition if they can just set up a position, poke away, and 5v5.
And I do want to say that it is a big deal that it's the 2v2 that got ahead. Because for me, that is the point of weakness for HLE in the early game.
Yeah.
And if Viper gets ahead there, then as you can see already, you've got 43 to 36 on the bottom side of the map. Zekka's doing absolutely fine in the mid lane, both of them using their teleports to make their way back. And so you can see that just in the isolated, lanes in general, things are going fine for HLE because Viper and Delight are doing just okay here in the top lane.
Getting an early lead is so big because it also locks Pyke to lane, which is exactly where you don't want him to be.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if Pyke is just laning, that's always going to take away a lot of his power, as we are seeing the 1v1, and Zeus is having a great time here early on.
Yep.
Both top laners also having already used their teleport. Oner does not have his ultimate yet, still level 5.
Delight, level 4. Bone Skewer just somehow going to miss. I actually feel like that if Ezreal had a toupee, that would now be on the end of the Bone Skewer. Maybe he does. We need to check the Bone Skewer. As Peanut's now going to move up, see whether there is going to be any scuffles. It looks like no. Just going to be some grubs considered.
I think a lot of people would look great, but I don't think Ezreal could pull it off.
No,
I'm not going to lie.
I mean, I'd have to see it.
I don't think we have to. I think we can just know.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Just imagine it.
Yeah, no, it doesn't feel great.
It feels wrong.
His hair is, part of what makes him Ezreal. That is a very good point. It's all right. Grub number 2 going to go down. Should be the 3rd, so a feat of strength, or at least a portion of it, going to be collected here. And Peanut going to go about his merry way. That should be exchanged for this Mountain Drake that's alive towards the bottom side of the map. So no harm, no foul there. And Keria just going to be moving himself back. Smash taking a few Mystic shots here in this lane. But this laning phase kind of over for the bottom lane of T1, wanting to try and skirmish their way back into it, I would expect, as Wind becomes lightning, and Keria going to be taking a bit of damage. Smash trying to get rid of him, as Peanut does make his way over. I don't know whether this is necessarily diveable. They will be able to get a nice crash, and maybe a plate for their trouble, as Peanut looking to try and get them away from the area. Yeah, zoned off this entire wave.
Yeah, they also know that Oner is bot side, so there isn't really any risk involved for them here. We also saw Zekka on an early rotation towards top. Now Zeus is on the weak side of the map.
Yeah, I'm going to say hi to his former jungler. Is going to be the red buff secured as Bone Skewer going to connect. Zeus just going to... Zeus? Zekka going to shift some sands. 4-letter Z words. It's a tough one. But he should be all right. Not having to use any of his summoner spells or anything like that. Still down relatively low as a plate is going to go on over, but 3 plates to Viper in the top lane. Yes. There we go.
So the good news for T1 is that they have one of the best point-and-click pieces of CC that they can get in the game, and they have a lot of great follow-up. The bad news is that it's still Ezreal. Viper has been known to carry a game every now and then.
Yeah.
And there is so much disengage for Hanwha Life. Because we talk about this dive, right? But even if they kill Viper, if your fight then gets split up by Zekka getting a big shuffle, by Peanut splitting up, I think...
And it's a triple threat comp.
Yeah.
You kill Viper, you probably still die to Zeus and Zekka. who do a lot of consistent damage themselves.
Yeah, it depends on how many resources you have to invest to actually kill the Ezreal.
I was sort of assuming that you had to throw the kitchen sink at Viper to kill him.
They might. Now, I do think for T1, gold lead is definitely there, but not out of reach just yet. It's going to be coming up towards these dragon fights, though. Dragon fights, or maybe a Grub or a Herald fight, where they can actually use the kill potential that they have. Because if anyone on Humble Life is out of position, even if it ends up being Peanut, like the Zinzai ultimate, who does that actually do anything against on T1? Like, I guess Faker sometimes.
Yeah, maybe.
But outside of that, anyone is going to be effectively in melee range anyway.
I mean, you just use it as a disengage tool. I don't think you use it as damage mitigation against this composition.
Oh, yeah.
You just whenever, like, Smash dives in, you press R to stop him from murdering Viper, is a theory.
Or you.
Yeah, or yeah, whoever you'd like.
And outside of the bot lane, top lane, as mentioned, Zeus on his Jace, unsurprisingly, gets the first pick and does very, very well.
Yeah, we've heard that his Jace is pretty good, as he is going to demonstrate that right now, getting a whole bunch of hammer boops into Doran, finds the little shock blast as well.
The fact that you can run grasp on Jace is so crazy, man. Like,
yeah, it's not very fair. Also, like the slight nerf that did come through, generally adding damage ratios and taking away base damage is very good if you want to try and adjust someone that is building tank when they're not supposed to. I don't know whether it worked. Based on what we saw yesterday, we may need to be a little bit more aggressive as far as that is concerned. Keria moving up towards his top side of the map. We'll see what Zeus is going to do. I assume we will see certainly a bunch of bruiser items, which are still just extraordinarily good on Jace.
Yeah, for any T1 fight, I think we're going to know within the first, say, 2 to 3 seconds whether it's a successful one or not. Every one of their fights should start up with someone getting picked off and getting blown up, and then they can kind of go from there. Humble Life just get to play classic front to back, get to poke away, get to set up like they are here. I think it's going to be tough. We'll have to see. T1 trying to find access.
Keria doesn't get the bone skewer. And Zeus now in trouble. Teleport coming in from Doran, who tries to ult his way out of it. He'll be able to get out of there, but this is not the pick that they were looking for. Delight has the ulti. True Shot Barrage hits 2. And Faker and Smash now very low. That is going to be 2 grubs going on over. Should be the clean sweep as far as the objective, but no one to die in this skirmish. It's not what I was expecting.
That's textbook there from Halma, right? Like exactly what we talked about.
Yeah.
The moment that T1 tries to make an entrance, they pull back to one of 2 choices. Either they can accept that they wasted 2 teleports, let it go, or try to force for the choke. They kind of try to do the second part, and it just doesn't work. Humble Life, the carries are still safe. They're able to have Delight just tank most of the damage. You can't walk into that choke. They do invest a little bit, right? Zeka also TP'd, has to invest his flash, but that's
the only flash.
Yeah.
So they're up by a flash as far as that exchange was concerned. Did throw out a whole bunch of ultimates, of course, Death from Below and Killer Instinct and things like that, but they're sort of win more ultimates. It's the cease and desist that's going to be the most important. See whether Oner can perform the Assault and Battery like it used to be named within the next few minutes to sort of capitalize, but I just don't think that's what's going to happen here as we have a look at the replay.
So we have an early Ignite onto Peanut, which doesn't end up doing too much, and then it is Delight that gets ulted by Doran, but obviously Delight doesn't care. Is Alistair that is level 6. They can't get through the choke, right?
Yeah.
Like even with Faker trying to set them up with the ultimate, there just isn't too much you can do, and I think the T1 composition relies so heavily on being ahead on tempo for it to work, because you want to be able to deny vision, to set up vision traps. But there has been topside prio from minute 1. I think the one strong point that you did have, which was your bot side matchup, turned into a disaster due to the level 1. So now you can see T1 is showing up second to every single objective, which makes it so hard for them to actually pick off anyone, because Humble Life can see them coming, are always ready. And T1 is going to have to start making this game a lot more messy. Maybe a pick on Zeus could do it.
Yeah, as Keria is going to turn up. Let's see whether Zeus has the footwork. He does! Faker's still going to be able to get some damage down, as Zeus is still trying to kill Keria in front of 2 members of T1. Peanut going to be taking this dragon. Keria can't take another one of those. He will just die, as Faker is at least at full health, but Zeus gets underneath the turret. Bone Skewer goes wide once again. Zeus has his ex-teammate downloaded by the looks of things, clears out the wave, and he is just fine.
Keria has had a really good LCK Cup, I think this game, the only bone skewer that mattered was the one level 1, which mattered in a bad way, not in a good way, as it turned out, on Alistair. Thus far,
Zeus is not stopping. This guy is angry, avoids the damage as well as he makes his way out, grabs himself a cheeky grass proc before delivering Doran the message that he's not allowed in a lane with him. And this is the big problem as well, is HLE, they have a great team fighting composition, but they also win the 4-1 with Zeus as powerful as he is right now. And so just if the game just statically remains the same, with just clearing waves over and over again, it should be that HLE just wins in a neutral, like, passive state. And that is a worry for T1, because they have this composition that wants to be moving forward. Just in the state of the game right now, it's difficult for that one to be executed as Tower does go down, and that is Sandals picked up. Some strong feet here on HLE.
Peanut, meanwhile, has just been playing PvE.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out what Peanut was doing all game. I feel like he has been impactful, but he did the zoning thing on the top side. He's taken all of the grubs. You can see that they've taken 3 objectives, but I just haven't really needed to talk about Peanut. I think it's absolutely fine. See whether he can instigate some of these battles starting up soon, as having a look at these Cinders, hadn't really noticed that it's an Infernal Soul this game as well.
That's a good combat mechanic for T1.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. It's always Earth, Wind, and Fire with T1 as well, by the way. This happens more often than it should.
What does it mean, Atlas?
I have absolutely no idea. Maybe that's why they're so good later in the year, because that's closer to September. I know that's only one of their songs, but still, it's the most popular. Maybe they like to groove tonight? No?
What do you mean it's closer to September?
September, the best Earth, Wind, and Fire song!
No,
the most popular one!
Yeah, no, I understand, but like...
I mean...
We
Wait, so apparently something's trending a lot. Can
Let's
you repeat that, please?
Yeah, Jason, fortunately for us, is locked into the
She is absolutely locked in,
trends.
so she knows. So apparently it is actually really relevant, which is really cool. I am unfortunately a boomer, so that might need to be explained later on the spot.
Don't apologize for who you are.
I'm not. I'm explaining who I am.
You said...
All right, Doran is going to press his ultimate button, dodges out of the way of the ult from Zeka as well. Very nicely done. But a little bit of smooth movement from the Azir means that the Chicken Man is not going to be falling down. And in the meantime, HLE are the ones that capitalize. Oh, okay, so Let's Groove is mega popular on TikTok at the moment. Just for all you Americans that might be missing the platform. As Zeka now moving away from this turret. And wait, is it back?
It is, yeah.
What the heck?
Atlas,
I'm so out of touch.
We have established you're a boomer. Like, all of this is just world building.
Yeah.
As the world for T1 unfortunately crumbling a little bit around them. As mentioned, this is a type of draft where with nameplates you're like, you know what? I can see it work. It is not.
Yep.
Oh, you can't do that to your own team.
Oh, Zeus. Oh, dear. Well, maybe he's fine. All right, well, Doran's going to turn up. In comes Delight. He can't get away with this. Surely not. Peanut comes in, lands the audacious charge, and there's the ulti as well. Faker throws his into the ring, but they're going to have to back away. These health bars are so low. They're sitting ducks to Zeus with these shock blasts. As Doran, it's Faker that picks it up. He's not going to be dying from that one, but does need to create some extra space. In the meantime, though, this inner turret, not long for the world. Look at these Void Grubs. They didn't need that many. They are crowding around that structure, and it is going to be obliterated. And what was a relatively small gold lead is ballooning over time. T1 just haven't found an edge in this game at all. Oh.
Not even.
Imagine if Zeus, Zeka went all the way back to base, but then got bone skewered back to that position. That would be amazing. Cool. It's like the old Darius Apprehend, if you remember.
You know what the worst part is that wouldn't even kill. They wouldn't even die. It would just cancel his base, but it didn't even get that.
Yeah.
Can someone back me up?
Yeah, can someone cover me? Oh dear. Well, I mean, almost. The Vault Breaker missing was such a big deal. The Bone Skewer as well. And he's just like, yeah, actually this is really good. Double Pulverize from Delight also helping out.
한 번만 더 써볼래 이거?
Zeus actually extremely vocal here. Just letting them know that he's got Powered Shock Blast. Take it slow, just poke, just take the turret. Very nicely done. here by HLE.
That's.
I just want to tell everyone as well, this is not the HLE that we've been watching throughout the rest of the tournament.
No. But it's the HLE that, again,
That was promised,
It was promised, and it goes back to what we were saying. We have not seen a game where everyone on HLE is playing well. I think all 5 players throughout the LCK Cup thus far hasn't happened. And right now, it looks like that's what we're witnessing. That's now another Drake going over. Now T1, I think they get one more Hail Mary, be it a crazy Baron call. They need to start getting someone ahead. They need to be able to leverage the kill threat that they have with the amount of pick potential, because we are very rapidly getting into the point of the game where there's just never going to be an opportunity for them to single someone out. And then this comp just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, they may not even be able to get this turret. Looks like that is going to be the case. So we're ticking closer and closer to Otacon time. Some blood petals being picked up across the map.
Wait, it's Voracious? Man.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's out of control. Who would have thought? As another support gets a little bit wrecked by someone going back. And HLE just looking for their next objective, their next place to find an edge. And T1 wanting to meet them there before they get there. That's the biggest one.
Ooh, Riftmaker done now. So that's 2 item spikes for the carries on Hanwha Life. Going to be feeling good going into this Otacon fight. My guess is that they're going to start it up and try to force out a response. Again, T1 trying to retake control is very tough. They are generally going to be relying on just picking someone off, but if the Light is standing guard, it's not going to be easy. As the top lane turret still standing as well, just gives so much safety over. And they might be looking for a collapse. Faker, though, definitely going to be fine, is Aurora.
Yep.
And maybe a cross map instead. It looks like they are abandoning, but Hanwha Life actually matching the rotation.
Keria almost just straight up dead to Viper throwing out a couple of Mystic shots.
Yeah, he does have the spike.
You saw Viper's brain work there. He like registers the amount of damage that Mystic shot did, and he's like, oh wait, I kill him. And then Arcane shifts forward. Not quite able to take him down completely, but that certainly putting some fear into the support of T1.
Look at the vision.
Yeah.
F0. Like, an Oner can't walk up.
Nope. He sees the silhouette.
Oh,
and,
good luck retaking this
that
area. Are we just going to... No, we're going to TP. We're going to try and do it, but...
The smash flank. Let's see whether this is going to work out as Faker throws in the ultimate, gets on in there, but he's just going to explode. Otacon goes down as well. Zeka grabbing the kill, and now T1 need to run for the hills. You cannot fight that which cannot die. And HLE now moving towards the top lane in a turret. Where does the good news start for T1 in this game?
You took out Jace and Ezreal.
Oh wait, it's
Fearless.
a best of 5. Yeah, that's where it starts. Actually, to be honest, maybe it's worth it.
Well, still not how you want your game 1 to start, Atlas.
Probably not. They might be able to kill Zeka as Oner takes a little bit of a ride underneath the turret. Great bone skewer comes on through as the flash out from Zeka will keep him alive! He gets hit by his own teammate's True Shot Barrage. He flash out, down, goes, no, never mind. He is going to ult his way back in though, so that will kill Doran. Faker with a fair bit of damage, trying to eliminate the minion wave where they can as Viper hitting so many of these shots, and they have Otacon. So he can just take the free back there. Zeka gonna do the same thing. I need to stop messing their names up. Oh my goodness, bounties are now available as HLE move to a 6,000 gold lead.
Yeah, I do think we have with this play reached a point where there's just no shot as Faker goes in, but it's exactly what, look at the Light. This is just acting like the big scary bouncer.
Yep.
No one on T1 can come close, and even though giving up Otacon is going to feel horrible, honestly I think T1 kind of had the right idea. It looked earlier like they were just going to rotate and try to get turrets on the rest of the map. That was definitely the call.
They haven't lost a turret yet.
No,
like HLE have kept everything up.
Even at this point, if they do, it's I don't think it's gonna really matter. And Hanwha Life showing up in this first game, the Waters.
Yeah.
They predicted something.
Yeah, welcome to the LCK Cup, Hanwha Life Esports. We missed you. It's great to see you here as Zeus behind the inner turret that is definitely going to evaporate.
Hey, look, he's building damage.
He is.
Dirk in his inventory.
I mean, he does have a simple inventory. All right, Keria gonna get knocked into the sky. Faker once again going very aggressive, but able to utilize that ulti to keep himself safe. Still, I mean, Keria died and I didn't even really notice. As HLE, they have some worse for wear health bars. 13 seconds left on the Otacon buff. And they've wiped out the entire outer ring of turrets, and they've taken the top inhibitor turret as well, as we do not even have Baron for another minute 20.
Keria trying to set up a play. That's the lie. So he just ults and then is fine.
Yep.
But at this point, T1 is going to have to try and go for Hail Marys. There's not really anything else that you can do.
I think they are very well aware of the fact that the game is not moving in their direction, and they may as well just go for whatever play they can find. I think that's why you had Faker ulting in that Arakan fight, because, like, obviously, if you don't do anything about it, they just take the buff, and then you lose. So you need to at least make them work a little bit for it.
It's pure desperation.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it kind of, to me, this goes back to Hummer Life matching the lane swap, then Zeus having an incredible early game in the 1v1, which took away one of the possible pressure points, and then the bot lane 2v2 being a disaster, so you never get Pyke on the map, and then this composition just doesn't really do a whole lot.
Yeah. Unfortunate thing is, as well, is that we haven't had all that much action. 5-1 in the kills. It feels like this game has been very, like, it's been intense.
Yes,
but
it's been a lot of fighting.
Not very bloodthirsty.
No. That's not what we're promised if they see these comps. I see the Pyke.
Yeah,
I do.
The other side of the map really didn't promise it.
Yeah,
that much,
it did.
Did it?
No. And also, this is, I think, unfortunately, the reality of Pyke. Really, this is good, okay? Because you might get unrealistic expectations about Pyke if you just watch the good T1 games, you know?
True.
And it's like, oh, he's like, I don't know, he ended up with like, what, 6, 7, 8 kills in one of the games that he played on Pyke fairly recently. That's not a realistic representation. Sometimes playing Pyke is this. You don't hit your skewers, and you lose an early skirmish, and then you're just a glorified deep ward and Umbral Glaive bot.
Yep.
And that's about it, really.
Yep, that's how it works. Feast or Famine was basically designed about Pyke.
He's a support assassin. I still can't believe that's a thing. You know, I know Pyke has been out for forever, but
it's very cool how he sort of works as well.
Yeah.
Trying to mitigate what could make him completely broken by just meaning that you cannot build health. Kind of nuts, as once again, he does skewer the cow. But Delight not too worried about it.
Circling the Drain Atlas in this first game is T1.
Yeah, and look at HLE building some vision around the Baron, you would assume. And now...
Taxi out.
Oh, yeah. Smash is going to try and make an exit. Oner also going to be diving forward. Delight throws down the ulti as Zeus is fighting against Faker, and Faker is probably not going to survive it. There's the Shock Blast to finish him off. In the meantime, Oner is also dead. Delight somehow alive, and this could just spell the end of Game 1. HLE with an absolute turnaround in performance in this one. They're going to need more, though, and Peanut might need a little bit of saving here as he wants to... Yes, he does manage to do that. True Shot Barrage. He's actually going to be the one that takes the kill. And Peanut fighting a top laner is not necessarily going to work out for him as his ex-teammate grabs the kill off the back end of this one. But it's only 2 for T1 in this game, and 2 dead Nexus turrets are going to be the result, with a following Nexus to go down as well. HLE Game 1, absolute statement here from the LCK champs, as when it says playoffs, this